Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and recently I've come across a lot of book titles that have felt like clickbait to me. Titles that have caught me off guard and have instantly made me want to read the book. And so of course I decided to pick up a few and run with this as a video concept. I have a few intentions going into this video. One, I want to see if the titles make sense for these books, or if they are just kind of like these sensationalized titles that are used in a way to get people to pick up the book. Which both of these things can be true at the same time. Like they can be these absurd, over-the-top titles and still be fitting for the story. The biggest examples I can think of for books that feel like very clickbaity, but it made sense and it worked. One is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. That title is so jarring and throws you off when you first hear it, but it completely suits the story, and I cannot imagine that book without the title They Both Die at the End. Like, what would you call that book? They Both Die at the End is incredibly fitting for that story. Another example I can think of is Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. You see that title and your mind instantly rushes with the thought, oh my god, how could she be glad that her mom died? And then you read the book and the title becomes super understandable. There's so much nuance to that title and so much to unpack, but Jeanette McCurdy unpacks that title in such a solid way throughout the story itself, throughout her memoir. So you end up with like a full understanding as to why she chose that title. I guess my second intention and the second thing that I'm going into this video with is that I want to try to retitle these books without a clickbait title. Like if they didn't have these sort of exaggerated titles and they had more of like a normalized title, what would I title them with? I'm interested to see what I come up with on that end because my creativity bank has been empty for a few years now, but I'm gonna take a whack at it and give it my best shot. I picked out 3 books, one is on the way, so that's why there's only 2 in my hand currently. But these all have titles that feel like they could be like YouTube. These all have titles that feel like they could be YouTube clickbait titles, honestly. Like I could see people using these book titles as clickbait for their videos. I'm gonna go from like least striking to most striking. I feel like they're all pretty striking, pretty clickbaity. The first book that I will be reading for this video is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. Is it weird that the title for this got me incredibly excited, even though it's incredibly morbid? Should I be concerned? Should I be seeking help? What should I be doing in this scenario? Let me know in the comments. This is one of those books where I did just pick it up solely on the title alone, but now that I've picked it up, I've seen it everywhere. And you know what makes me even more upset is that there is a more beautiful cover than this one. And I didn't get the most beautiful cover, which I know covers don't mean anything. Like, it's just there to provide coverage for the book so it's not nude, but like, I want the pretty cover. This one's not so bad either, but like, this one is beautiful, stunning, amazing, iconic, and I just have this. This story follows Gilda, who ends up accidentally getting hired as a receptionist at a church. Gilda, being a lesbian and an atheist, didn't mean for this to happen, but she takes the job and she ends up becoming very curious about the past receptionist because the past receptionist had passed away. But I believe there's some suspicions there on how that receptionist passed away, and so Gilda is like, you know what? While I'm here, why not just do some investigating? I believe this is supposed to be more on the comedic side of things, which has me excited. I love me some dark humor, so I hope that it brings some of that to the table. And I am intrigued by this mysterious element that's coming into play with the past receptionist. I'm intrigued, I'm excited, time for reading. I forgot to bring my other camera battery with me out and about, and this camera battery is about to shut off, so that's scary. We're pressing for time here. I just went and got myself some boba because I deserve it. I'm gonna treat myself with a little boba. Got my green milk tea with black pearl. It's good today. We got a good one. I finished Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, and I'm happy to report that I freaking love this book. Oh my god. Not to use internet lingo right off the bat, but the main character is so me-coded. I don't want to say we're exactly alike, because she's like a heightened version of me. I'm not quite as wacky as she is at times, thankfully. She's constantly getting herself stuck in these situations that she didn't necessarily want to go along with, but she ends up going along with it anyway, because I would say she's a bit of a people pleaser. She doesn't really want to let anybody down, she doesn't want to disappoint anybody, and to that I say relatable. Those moments attacked me, and it was like, here Jesse, take a peek at what you look like on the regular. It's me. Hi, I'm the people pleaser. It's me. Our main character is the type that will sob over the death of somebody she doesn't even know, and she can at times be the type of person to take on the emotions of the people around her. She's a bit of a mess, she's a bit reckless, and there are times when you're just like, girl, pull yourself together. But let me tell you, I adored every bit of her journey in this novel. While there is this kind of like mystery storyline that is evolving over the course of the story, I feel like this book was more so an exploration on our main character. She sort of lives a lonely life despite the fact that she's never really alone. And there is no worse feeling than like a lack of security in the relationships in your life. Like there are people in your life, but they're not necessarily always there for you. It's like when you go to a party and you know people at the party, but they don't really like include you in anything. Like that feeling is the worst. The sting. It hurts. That's kind of her vibe in this book. Like she gets along well with everybody, but like there's never really that strong connection and that security of the relationships, the friendships, the family. Like they're just kind of there, and she kind of just goes along with it, and she's never fully supported, I would say. At the core of this book is death. Is that why I loved this book? Because it included death, because one of the core themes is death. Maybe I do love me some death in books. Everything in this book sort of leads back to death. We see flashbacks of her bunny that died as a kid and how that impacted her life. We see her constantly worrying about her brother, who is an alcoholic, and her fear that he's going to die. We've got the person that worked in the receptionist position before her that passed away. We have funerals that are taking place at the church that she works at, a while to kind of... Oh my gosh, my phone security camera keeps going off and it needs to stop. It's just a bird. Like there's a bird that just like keeps getting in my security camera at my house and it needs to chill. Like, can you go away, bird? Caw somewhere else. Oh my God. The exploration of death in this book is really hard hitting because you don't really like understand why things kind of keep circling back to death. There's so many ties to death throughout it. And then it kind of clicks because a lot of the times it finds its way back to this idea of how hard it is to sometimes just exist in the world that we live in. Our main character has troubles time and time again. She's often stressed. Again, she doesn't have that support that she needs. She's often finding herself in the hospital. Things are a little rough in the finances area. And she often finds herself in this dark place where she is questioning her existence, questioning her purpose. She will have these like really beautiful moments in her life. And you're like, oh, like things are good. Things are looking up. But just because you have those happy times, just because you have that like bright life, it doesn't mean you're done enduring the dark days. Like the dark days will always come back around. And so it just is exploring that idea kind of, and how she's really having a hard time just existing. There are trigger warnings, so I would say look up those before picking this book up if you are interested in it. And then beyond like the main character and the theme, this book is also fantastic. Specifically in the writing department, I marked up so much stuff in this book, you guys, just because I was like obsessed with some of the writing bits. Fantastic writing style. I was going to try to find a quote to read, but I don't know if any of them should be read. I also just loved how it was written because each paragraph is a new scene. Like it switches so often, and that lends for this like super fast pacing where you're just like flying through the book. It's got this like super addictive quality to it that I just so appreciated, because I feel like I'm sort of just now branching into the adult fiction world, specifically like in the past few years. It's always nice to find a book that feels kind of like a young adult book. Like it's not a young adult book. It doesn't really feel like a young adult book in terms of like how it approaches these themes and things, but like the pacing, that's what makes it feel like a young adult book, because you just are flying by. You are flying by. I love that pacing. While I did mention the fact that this does have a bit of a heavy theme to it, it's also like super lighthearted and fun at times, and there's lots of humor threaded throughout it. And it's not like a depressing book the whole way through it. Like you're not just like sad the whole time reading it. Like I would laugh and chuckle while reading this book, even though it had like such a dark theme and had such dark moments. We just have little stops at depression stations. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason I'm knocking it a star is because the mystery element just like didn't really do much for me. I understood why it was there, and it made sense once you get to the ending as to why it was involved, but I just didn't really care for that mystery storyline that much. Now, when talking about the title, I think this title, Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, suits this book perfectly. In fact, there is a direct call out, there is a direct moment where this title is mentioned in the book, so it just like, it suits it. It makes sense. I'm just now realizing that I forgot my notebook that has my alternate titles in it, so I'm going to insert that clip here. The alternate titles that I came up with suck, and they're also very clickbaity too, so like, I failed the assignment. But we've got The Lesbian Church Receptionist. She's a lesbian. She's a church receptionist. Ding, ding, ding. And then my last title is Flop, which is the name of her dead bunny. These suck. I tried. The next book that I'm going to be reading for this video is a manga, actually, which I feel like a lot of manga have very like clickbaity book titles. Like they just have these like really big grand titles that are like super eye-catching and just like catch you off guard. This one is honestly kind of mild, but I feel like I could see like a family channel having this as a YouTube video title. And that book is I Think Our Son Is Gay. Like I can just imagine a family channel titling one of their videos for this, because family channels like to exploit their children, and this would just be another way they could exploit their child. That was kind of brutal of me to say that. But anyway, in this book, we are following this family, and we have these parents who begin to question the sexuality of their son. I think it's literally just them like picking up on hints that their son is gay. I think it's kind of more so like a slice of life style story, which I love slice of life. So that has me really excited to read this one. And it's been a minute since I've read a manga, so I'm excited to read this and and see how I feel about it. Time for reading. This was a very short and sweet little read, and I ate it right up. It was like a nice little dessert. I'll take a second serving, please. Hand over the sequel, stat. It showcases the home life of these two boys and their loving parents. There are all these signs of the eldest son, Hiroki, being gay. And it's literally just about, and it's literally just about the mom and dad kind of like picking up hints on their son being gay. And them just being like, I think our son is gay. Like, he'll be raving about a boy in his class, or he'll have these like suggestive pictures of these men on his desk. His mom will be a bit nosy and read these text messages between him and another boy, and she recognizes how flirty they are. And it's honestly really sweet because this is how every parent should react to their child being gay. Specifically, the mom in this book, she's super accepting. Every parent ever needs to read this and take note. It's okay if your child is gay. The dad is pretty supportive as well, though he's not in this book as much as the mom is, and he still shows like a very narrow view of like relationships and sexualities. Like, one day he asks his son if there's anybody in his friend group that he loves, and the son starts listing off the name of boys, and the dad's like, oh, you said a boy, that's not the kind of love that I meant. As if it was weird that his son had mentioned a bunch of boys' names and not girls' names. So you still see, well, I don't want to say homophobia, because I don't think the dad is homophobic per se. Like, he's never really like, ew, gross, don't do that. He's just not adjusted to there being more than one sexuality, I guess. The mom, however, is much more in tune with her boys and their sexualities, and she doesn't assume their sexualities in a way where it comes off as like judgy. It's more so her being like, if they are gay, I hope they'll one day share that with me. And she never puts pressure on them to come out, but she does open the door for those conversations to happen, and I just really adore that and appreciate that about her. She's also like ready to fight for the boys. She's like, if you mess with my boys, fizz to the face, boom. This is my favorite part of the manga. She says, I think our son is probably gay. He's also quite simply a precious member of our family. Wholesome, wholesome, wholesome. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5 stars. I did love it, but I never really felt fully invested in any of the characters. And the story felt a bit choppy at times because each little chapter of the book is super short. Like, sometimes it's only 3 pages, and I feel like there were times where we could have gone deeper with some of the conversations that were brought up, and things were kind of just like brushed over or were done with way too fast, in my opinion. But I still loved it, and I definitely recommend checking it out if it sounded interesting to you. As for the title, I think Our Son is Gay is the perfect title for this book, honestly. Like, I can't even think of other titles. I did try to come up with some alternatives because that was a challenge I set out for myself, but they all feel clickbaity still, so I feel like a clickbait title just like suits this book. Like, this title is just perfect, I think Our Son is Gay, because that's like the entirety of the book. It's like the parents questioning if their child is gay, and the mom says, I think our son is gay, so many times throughout the book. She's like, I think our son is gay. I think our son is gay. I think our son is gay. So it makes sense. But when it comes to alternative titles, I did come up with a few. First one, a guide on how to accept your gay child. Gay son? No problem. Our son is gay and we love him. Again, those are all clickbaity, but I couldn't think of like a normal title that would fit this book. I just feel like a clickbaity title works out. I tried. The last book that I'm reading has the most clickbaity title out of all the books in this video, and that book is How to Kill Your Family. I feel like this is the type of book that I would never be able to read out in public. People would probably see the title and give me weird looks. It's not what it looks like, I promise. It's fiction, fiction, fiction. There is not much of a description for this one on the back of the book, so I'm just gonna read you what it says. They say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. Meet Grace Bernard, daughter, sister, serial killer. Grace has lost everything and she will stop at nothing to get revenge. I'm intrigued, even though I still feel like I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. It's time for reading. Well, this was not quite what I was expecting, and I say that in a not so great way, unfortunately. To give you a better feel for this book, because I feel like the last time we talked about this, I didn't give the best description, I just gave you what was on the back of the book. But in this book, we are following our main character, Gracie, who is in prison for a murder that she did not commit. But in this book, we are hearing of the murders that she did commit. She's narrating this grand master plan that she executed in order to murder members of her father's family. So essentially, it's this revenge, murder, master plan, plot, situation. I feel like I went into this with certain expectations. Like, I thought it was gonna be funny, and maybe that's because the main blurb that like sticks out to me on this book says funny, sharp, dark, and twisted. Sure, it is a little dark and twisted. I guess you could say sharp, though I would argue otherwise. Funny? Absolutely not. Were there bits of dark humor? Yes, but did they ever land with me? Absolutely not. No, 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 no. I was led to believe that it was gonna be like, ha ha funny, but instead it was like, no. I think it really didn't help that I just found the main character to be incredibly insufferable throughout this book. And like, here's the deal. I get that it like makes sense that she's insufferable. Like, she's a killer. She's killing people. We don't want to like her. It was so hard to read at times. I'm all for unlikable characters. Let that unlikable character freak flag fly, please. Wave it back and forth, baby. I'm here for it. But I think for unlikable characters, even ones that are killers, for me, they have to have some like solid redeeming qualities. Not necessarily to like completely overtake their unlikableness and like make them likable. Like, I'm not looking for that, but like backstories and reasons for why they are the way that they are. And like, there is bits of backstory here, there is, but it did not ever cure her insufferableness for me. But like, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. I can see why the author made her insufferable, because she's a killer. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. It still was just aggravating reading from her perspective, because it was just wah, 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 wah. This is a book that also feels very outdated. Like, it feels like a book that came out in the 90s. Just in terms of like the way that our main character describes other people and things that are mentioned, it just felt dated. It felt like it did not come out recently, and this book came out in 2021. For the most part, I did like the plot. It's sort of the plans that are set in place for these murders to take place. But then my critical side is coming in and being like, you liked the plot, but it was so lengthy for no reason. It was over descriptive, and it dragged and dragged and dragged. And then the ending. The twist. It's an absolute no for me. In fact, you're in timeout. I'd give this book a 2 out of 5 stars. Do I feel like this title is fitting for this book? Kind of. I do wish, honestly, it was her kind of killing off her immediate family, because it's not really her immediate family. It's like her dad's family, people in her dad's family, because it is about her getting revenge. But I just feel like it'd be more interesting if it was like she had issues with her immediate family. But I guess it was fitting. I just feel like it's such a solid title. Like, this is such a fantastic title. I love how this title completely catches you off guard. I think it's very striking. I just don't feel like this book in particular deserves a title like this, deserves such a striking title. Her alternate titles: The Insufferable Murderer, The Insufferable Revenge, The Man by Taylor Swift, if you know, you know, How to Disappoint Jesse. Alright friends, we have reached the end of the video. Those were all my thoughts on these books that have clickbaity titles. And honestly, I'm not really mad at the results today. We had some good books in this stack. I loved Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I Think Our Son Is Gay was fantastic. The only real miss was How to Kill Your Family. Overall, a solid stack of books today. I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments. What were your thoughts on this video? What are some of your favorite book titles that have clickbaity titles? Or let me know in the comments down below, 1, the current book that you're reading, and 2, if you were to retitle that book with a clickbait title, what would you title it? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, y'all.